My sister, 29F, told my 27M daughters that wife, 26F, cheated on me. Backstory is that my wife slept with another guy when she went on a trip for a bachelorette party 2 years ago. Wife got caught after one of her friends sent me a video of wife with another guy. When wife came back, she arrived at an empty house. We had a huge argument. She begged me to take her back. The entire family on both sides found out about her cheating. My family was heated and wanted me to leave her. Ended up staying together for my daughters. Fast forward 2 years, she started to gain my trust. Some of the thing I demanded were her phone to be monitored, tracker on her car and phone. No trips allowed without me. Just last week I allowed her to go out with her friends for the first time. Before anyone says I'm being way too controlling, these were the conditions I put on the table. If she didn't want to agree with them or thought they were too harsh, I told her divorce was the other opinion. Last night my older sister was watching the little ones because we were finishing up some shopping. Apparently my sister told my daughters how my wife was bad and cheated on dad. Wife found out after my younger daughter asked her about her trip to Nashville from 2 years ago. Wife is very upset and has been crying non-stop. I personally didn't want them to find out through my sister, but I don't feel as mad or upset as my wife. Wife said that I needed to defend her, and she can't keep taking this pain. Talked with sister on the phone, and she explained that my daughters asked her why mommy and daddy weren't living together for a month. She said that she told them because she thought my wife was an awful person. My family hates my wife, but they tolerate her for the kids. My sisters hate my wife with a passion and don't even acknowledge her presence. Does my wife have the right to be mad in this situation? How do I handle my wife? If you are going to take someone back after cheating, it should be with the goal of repairing the damage and getting to a better place. It sounds more like no one is going to forgive or work towards reconciliation. So why are you doing this? To teach your kids what a dysfunctional relationship looks like. You can't have it both ways. If you decide to stay with her, then you have to find a way to forgive her at some point and work towards a relationship. If you cannot, then divorce. You do not need her permission to do so. Your sister should not have gotten the children involved without your say-so. Also, your family cannot be bad-mouthing her to the kids either. She cheated, but you have not mentioned that she is a bad parent. My advice would be either divorce or make a genuine attempt at a relationship. Staying together for the kids is actually worse for the kids. Better 2 happy parents living separately than 2 unhappy ones under the same roof, giving the kids a bad example of how a relationship works. Nobody blabs that kind of thing to someone else's kids unless their intent is to help end the relationship. Take that into consideration. But also, if your reaction to your wife being distraught is, "Oh well, you should have divorced 2 years ago," don't condone cheating or think what she did was okay. Personally, cheating is my 100% done. No coming back. However, it was not your sister's place to speak to your children about this situation. And it absolutely falls under parental alienation, which is actually a huge deal. Your wife probably is used to your sisters hating her, but this hurt from this situation is probably from the fear of how it may hurt your children. If she is otherwise a good mother and the children love her, how could you possibly think that your sister's behavior was appropriate? Saying to your wife's face, "Sure, whatever, but don't bring the kids into." Also, just get divorced. The longer you stay together, the longer you have to pay alimony if she is a psalm. Putting her actions aside, do you realize that your daughters are growing up thinking that the rules you have are normal for a relationship? That when the time comes for them to date, they will not see anything wrong with their partners restricting their movements and right to privacy? If their partner's family openly hate them, Will you explain that it's not okay? You are not doing your children a favor by staying for them. You are teaching them to accept abusive behavior as normal. I have little remorse for people who cheat. If the past keeps coming back to haunt you, actions have consequences. However, I do believe that it wasn't your sister's place to tell your children. That should have been yours and your wife's call to make. You pretty much only stayed together for the kids. And now there is a potential rift between the parents' and children's relationship. How old are your daughters? Because if your adult sister told small children that mommy cheated on daddy, she's an AH and you're an AH for not being careful with how your children find out information that will shape their future development and relationships. You chose to stay with your wife. Your family doesn't get to punish her for the rest of your life. Did your wife FUP? Yes. Would I have taken her back? No. But seems like you want to eat your cake and punch it too. You and your family need therapy and a reality check. Do you really want your daughters to grow up thinking this type of relationship is normal? Yes. Not because she cheated and everyone knows, but because your sister hurt your kids to hurt your wife. Honestly, she also just increased the chance of a divorce. There's no reason for her to go through reconciliation, to work at gaining your trust again if she's going to be controlled. And your family is just going to torture her forever. Also, living this way you're guaranteeing your kids end up in abusive relationships. They'll think how you treat their mother is acceptable. Staying together for the kids is never a good choice, especially when there's gonna be blatant animosity shown in front of them. It's just gonna show them that this is how relationships are, that there's hardly any respect and people are mean to each other. If you truly care for your kids' well-being, then lead by example. Show them that you don't stay with people that disrespect you and break your boundaries. Show them that they have to respect themselves first and foremost, and that choices have consequences. I've seen more than few stories where girls are cheating just like their moms did and their parents are still together. So to them it seems like everything will work out in the end. So it's no big deal. And come on, man. Monitoring her phone, tracking her car, not letting her go on trips without you. Why bother? There's no trust, and if you knowing all her actions and locations is the only thing keeping her from stepping out again, then what's the point? If she's gonna cheat, let her. Do you really want to be with someone like that? Lead by example and show your kids what it means to respect oneself. So let me get this right. You chose to stay with her. You chose the conditions. You haven't forgiven her. You keep letting the hurt hurt. Hun, it's time to hang it up. Also, you have to realize kids pick up on things. They are gonna see you both unhappy and will eventually throw it in your face. Please proceed with caution and do what's better for yourself and the kids. I'm not saying I'm on her side in any way, shape, or form. I don't condone cheating whatsoever, but are you going to keep enduring this until it becomes too much and misery takes hold? Think about it op. If you're going to forgive your wife and be with her, then you need to actually forgive and be with her. Why are you letting people bad-mouth her to your children? Yes, be honest with the kids when they are old enough. But there is absolutely no reason to have your children around people that hate your wife. She was obviously wrong to cheat, and it's understandable that your family dislikes her for it. That is not an excuse for your sister to do what she did. That wasn't an attack on your wife. That was an attack on the well-being of your children. It sounds like you don't get that at all. Your wife hurt the family unit with her actions. Now you're doing it when you look the other way when your sister interfered in your family. Whether you divorced or stayed together, what your sister did was inappropriate. If your sister can't acknowledge that, she shouldn't be spending any time with your kids. These children have no mature adults to look up to. Just get a divorce already. Not going to defend your wife cheating. But you really seem to only be staying with her so you can continue to punish her for her actions. You aren't helping your kids by staying together at this point. So don't kid yourself that it's for them. You can't be providing them a loving household or modeling good behavior if you're tracking mommy's every movement. They already know the situation isn't right, or they wouldn't have been asking about it. How did your family find out she cheated? Through this friend that told you? Or did you tell them? If you told them, why? So they could also punish your wife? Shitty that she cheated, but the toxic behavior since seems to fall on you. Of course your wife has a right to be mad. She cheated, but she's still a freaking human being. She's entitled to whatever feelings she has. And I strongly doubt your kids just suddenly ask your sister why her parents weren't living together that one time just out of the blue. You know damn well your sister did it on purpose to try and make your daughters hate your wife as well. You're not some martyr BC. You decided to stay. You never forgave your wife. You've just enjoyed punishing her for 2 years. If you had just left when it happened, you could have done so with your head held high. However, now you're in no position. Behave as though you're somehow morally superior. Your behavior isn't any better. Just BC you chose to remain living with her. You need therapy to truly move on and heal. Allowing your wife to endure hell BC she committed the ultimate sin. Isn't healthy or freeing. Do better. Is she a good mother? If so, your sister had no right to damage that relationship between her and her kids. That said, you clearly resent your spouse still. And you're not wrong for feeling that way. However, you have no right to control her in the way that you do. Say that is abusive. Even if she is a willing participant, would you want your children's future partners to do that to your kids? You're being a terrible person and you're using her terrible decision to exercise some toxic behavior. There is a part of you delighting in her suffering. It comes out in the writing. If you hate her this much, don't stay because of the kids. All you're teaching them is that love is punishment. If you resent her, get therapy and work through your BS. It's as much your choice as it is hers. She's not forcing you to be a controlling AH. You are freely choosing that. Why would you stay married to someone who you would subject to abuse by your family members? Either forgive, or let her go. What we don't get to do is justify being to people who we are supposed to love and protect. She broke your heart. Then get therapy and move on. Be an adult, own your actions. It wasn't your sister's place. If you hate your wife that much that you don't care about her kids being turned against her, then you should leave. Your poor kids should now be given therapy to deal with this information to help sustain a healthy relationship with your wife. Not excusing cheating, but this was wrong. Y'all, at this point, wouldn't it be less traumatic for the kids if you amicably divorced and co-parented? It sounds you stayed married less for the kids' sake and more just to punish your wife. I get it, cheating is awful, but whatever it is you're doing now is hell on all of you. Kids included. Does my wife have the right to be mad in this situation? Yes, she has. It wasn't your sister's business to tell 2 little kids about that, and she did it out of spite. How do I handle my wife? You and your wife are at a point where you have to make a final decision. Stay together or divorce. If you stay together, then you have to set boundaries for your sister and make clear that you won't accept her transgressions against your wife anymore. If you are working on trusting and loving each other, again, you absolutely don't need relatives or friends who rip open those wounds you want to heal again and again. What would all your work account for if your wife now decides that she can't stand that constant harassment anymore and divorces you to be done with it?
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epicaricast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.